Right, this is the beginning of the road test. I'm going to climb on a dual carriageway and I'll just show you what the T-Sport Yaris is capable of on the motorway. Position on the motorway. It's not overly noisy. It stays with the flow of traffic very easily. It's got bags of torque from the little 1.5 engine under the bonnet. Very capable on the motorway of doing long journeys. It rides a little bit harder than a standard Yaris because Toyota dropped the suspension by 40mm, gave it harder shock absorbers and harder springs, so on roads that aren't particularly well serviced it can be a bit of a choppy ride. To the fun of what it is, because it's really planted on the road. Its road handling will surprise a lot of people. Motorway and we'll go and do some little A-road work. Brakes on this car, very good, being as they've fitted it with discs, ventilated discs on the front and solid discs on the back. So in a car that weighs less than 800 kilograms, it's got some absolutely amazing brakes. There's also some safety features fitted to the brakes. It's fitted with ABS and it's also fitted with electronic brake force distribution, so it knows what amount of braking force to send to each individual wheel, which is really a good safety feature to have onto such a light car. This one's fitted with a 5-speed box, as all the Yarises are. The 1 litres, the 1.3s and the 1.5s. It's fitted with a very close ratio gearbox. So in 5th gear, you get 20 miles an hour to the 1000 revs. So if you drive off your rev counter, like a lot of people do, in 5th gear you know when you're doing say 5,000 RPM, you're doing 100 miles an hour. The rev limiters on this one are peculiar. They've set the rev limiter at 6,500 in 1st, 2nd and 3rd gear. In 4th and 5th you get 7,500 RPM. So this car's got a theoretical top speed of about 140 miles an hour. Being as we're on public roads, we can't even try it. You do have to be very careful on speed humps with the car being so low. because you do stand a very good chance of catching the front valance, the exhaust, the side skirts on anything that's protruding out the road, so you do have to be particularly careful. The other bad thing about it being so low, you have to watch when you park next to a curb that you don't catch the bottoms of the doors on the curbstones. It's so easily done. Now, fuel consumption in one of these, you'll never get it to do what Toyota say it'll do. Toyota say 42 miles an hour, 42 miles to the gallon as an average. I've never ever managed to get the 42 miles to the gallon. I'm normally about 10 miles shy. It's normally averages about 32 miles to the gallon. On a long motorway journey, you'll see about 45 to the gallon out of it, which all in all, considering the performance and the amount of power it produces, is very, very good. The engine is very, very flexible for everyday use. You can just keep flicking through that close ratio gearbox, because this engine will pull 1000 RPM in 5th gear and accelerate away. Because of the variable valve timing, it's got very, very good torque at the bottom end, a really, really strong mid-range, and an absolutely screaming top end. And you can use all the RPM this engine produces, because it does like to rev, given the opportunity. Right, we're in 3rd gear now, so we're doing 3000 RPM, 4000 revs, 5000, it's just come alive now. Work out. This is a national speed limit road, so there are people dawdling along at 50 miles an hour. What you will notice though is the car follows tar banding. You feel every single ripple in the road, but that's only due to the suspension being as hard as it is. But it doesn't transmit any rattles or bangs. It's very composed, even though it's as hard as it is on the road. Admittedly, a standard 1 litre or 1.3 is a lot comfier to travel in. They soak the bumps a lot better. But that's not what this car's about. It's got a little bit of excitement dialed into it. Right, let's get off the A road, let's go on to a B road. Advantage of 2nd, 3rd and 4th gear and use the RPM, the bottom end, the mid end power that the engine produces, because it's so strong. Admittedly roads are a little bit damp today, so the pace will have to be kept down. That is one of the disadvantages of having such a light car. It does slide around a little bit in the wet. It also breaks traction very, very easily. And the variable van car timing starts to kick in at about 4,000 RPM. And it will spin tyres up on white lines, standing water, grids. So you have to be aware of that all of the time. But if you drive it to the conditions that you're driving in, it's as safe a car as any car on the road. Okay, it's an older design. It's not NCAP 5, this one. It's only NCAP 4 in its safety rating. But I've got some photographs of a Phase 1 Yaris that was involved in a head-on car collision at 30 miles an hour. The front of the car was destroyed. Both airbags deployed. Both doors, both passenger and drivers, were still openable. There was no deformation of the cabin where you sit. The car performed admirably in that situation. So they're a very, very strong body shell. Very well designed. Good crumple zones. Very well controlled crumple zones. Flexibility of this engine is phenomenal. I'm actually in 5th gear at the moment, doing 40 miles an hour on a country lane.